Now, earlier today, a federal court handed out a sentence to a woman convicted of being a Russian agent. Now, Maria Butina, 30-year-old Russian national, was convicted into up to 18 months in prison for not disclosing that she was a Russian agent to the Department of Justice, mainly to the Attorney General. Now, according to D.C. District Court Judge Tanya Chutkin, I'm not sure, the conduct was sophisticated and penetrated deep into U.S. political organizations. Now, one of the organizations has been named, and for that I go to the Daily Beast. They explained that she had courted gun rights and conservative activists inside the National Rifle Association. And because of that, had been arrested last July and charged with violating U.S. law. Now, that's the same law that bars people from acting as foreign agents without telling the Attorney General. That's the same thing that Paul Manafort got in trouble for anyway. Now, that is a charge that the Justice Department lawyers characterized as, quote, espionage light. So you're working on behalf of a foreign country, and you are trying to influence politicians here in America in order to do things that will help that foreign country that happens to be paying you. And it would be okay if you did that, so long as you told the Attorney General. Paul Manafort was arrogant enough to think, I don't have to do that. No, I don't want to tell the government that, so I can hide my money. Maria Butina, however, she claims, I didn't know the law. I wasn't even aware. Now, Butina did plead guilty back in December and actually had cooperated with the government. Now, here's what she did, according to the Daily Beast. While living in the U.S., Butina communicated with then Russian Central Bank officer Alexander Torshin about our efforts to build relationships with Americans. In one instance, she claimed that she had influence over who would become Trump's Secretary of State. Now, look, that may have been just a big claim. Like, oh, yeah, no, I definitely have influence over the Secretary of State of Donald Trump, which I don't think she ended up having, but that is a bold claim. And in December of 2015, she had helped arrange for a delegation of NRA leaders to visit Moscow. Now, they ended up meeting some very powerful figures in the Russian government. Now, what's interesting about that, and I think I did a story a while back that shows that Russian right-wingers and American right-wingers actually have a lot in common. Right-wingers are right-winger, right? And so they got together and they're like, we can work together so that we can, for one, create a stronger bond between the right-wing governments of our country, and two, kind of remake both of our countries to be even more right-wing. So again, they have that in common. Right-wingers is right-wingers, right? So now it doesn't surprise me, as like I said, that they wanted to get closer and work together, right? However, if you're going to do that, if you're going to work on behalf of the Russian government in order to influence politicians and groups in America, then you have to sign up to be a foreign agent, and she did not. And as I mentioned before, her defense was, I didn't know that was illegal. Really? Now, I don't know if she knew or she didn't know, but ignorance of the law does not prevent people from getting in trouble when they break those laws. So, on the matter of the judge, well, the judge also agreed with that assessment, with my assessment, or I should say I agree with the judge's assessment, that the ignorance does not shield you from the impact. In fact, the judge goes further and says, this was no simple misunderstanding by an overeager foreign student. The crime that Butina pled guilty to is both serious and had jeopardized the country's national security. Now, look, if you claim to have influence over who could become Secretary of State, well, that would mean that you have a lot of influence on behalf of that foreign government. And so that could be problematic. Now, I know there are some people that are probably dismissing that. Oh, Russia, et cetera, right? Now, if you're saying so what, consider this. What if it's an Iranian national that comes over and starts courting people? For example, say it was the Obama administration. And this Iranian national comes over and starts courting people from the Council on American Islamic Relations, right? And says, oh, you know what? I have enough influence to be able to help make the decision on who would be Obama's Secretary of State. You know what would happen? Right-wing heads would explode. That's what would happen. Or, same thing. Let's talk about an Israeli national, right? Have been doing something on behalf of Israel. Every one of these situations should be considered very problematic. So, again, if you're burnt out on Russia, I get it, right? But remember, if Russia was able to do it, then why wouldn't Israel be able to do it? Or Saudi Arabia, right? Or maybe they already all have. So, and if that's the case, then shouldn't we know about it and actually put a stop to it? I think that would make sense. That would make sense. Now, one of the prosecutors, by the way, handling the case, Eric Kennerson, told the judge that Butina was executing a plan to establish contact between these two governments for the benefit of Russia. And he said, quote, the information was of extreme importance to the Russian Federation. Now, again, replace Israel, Saudi Arabia, or Iran with Russia, and you realize how problematic this is. And that is the ultimate conclusion that Kennerson comes up with. And he says, her conduct shows how easy it can be for a foreign government to target Americans in the U.S. Yeah, but also not just foreign governments, but remember, anyone. Our government seems to have a big problem with allowing people and corporations to be able to influence it, foreign or not. And of course, look, okay, so did Russia try to influence the election? Do we know that for sure? Yeah, I believe we do. Facebook ads, trolls, bots, etc., right? We know that, and we're pretty sure that it was, the Russian government that hacked the emails, the DNC, and gave them to WikiLeaks. Now, WikiLeaks, of course, says, oh, no, that didn't happen. Well, WikiLeaks would be really stupid to give up their source if the source was Russian government, right? So I actually think that's the right position for WikiLeaks to take, as it is, as they present themselves as a journalistic organization. Journalistic organizations generally do not reveal their sources. So now you might be saying, but yeah, Jeff, but it's stolen. They stole the emails. It was a foreign country that hacked in and stole the emails and gave them to WikiLeaks. Okay, like I get that, right? But the fact that the emails were stolen doesn't actually invalidate anything that was inside the emails or make it any less part of the public interest what Hillary Clinton and the DNC did, for example, to Bernie Sanders during the primary. And not only that, but look, other information that was stolen that was of the public interest were things like the collateral murder video that Chelsea Manning had stolen from the U.S. government. It doesn't make it any less horrible of a look on the U.S. government for killing civilians, the fact that it was stolen. The idea that the emails being stolen, making them less terrible, is kind of a preposterous idea. So, and as is the idea, of course, that Hillary lost the election solely because of the Russia stuff. No, I don't believe that at all. No, she was a weak centrist candidate to begin with, and I think, and as I've explained this a million times, her campaign died the death of 1,000 cuts. Russia just being one of them, right? And so I have criticized the focus of the Democrats over the last 3 years, blaming Russia solely for that loss. It's maddening to me and other progressives because it ignores a lot of other factors, a lot of the other main factors about this, right? And if you are angry at people meddling in elections, you should get angry at our country for meddling in other countries' elections, as well as other countries other than Russia meddling in our elections. So it happens, and we need to put a stop to it for every country, right? But that said, let's not pretend that Butina and the Russian government are innocent. They're absolutely not. Now, I'm not going to play that game. This is a very nuanced situation. There's a lot of blame that goes to many different sides, many different places, some of which falls on Maria Butina, who is now paying the price for playing her part in this entire thing. Now, she has been given 18 months in prison, as I mentioned, but part of the deal is that she ended up getting time served. Now, she's been in jail for some time, about 9 months. That means she'll spend an additional 9 months in prison, and then afterwards will be deported to Russia. And so there ends the story of Maria Butina. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm gonna have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.